Hello, everyone. So today's topic is something that many have been asking about Misikasicua, Santa Muerte, el Ángel de la Muerte, the Death Angel, the Aztec Death Angel. Um, Now there are many traditions, many practices that has to do with her and that she is involved. After all, she is death. She represents death, and death is in every culture, every religion, every race. Death is something we can't escape from. Okay? But when we talk about Mitsikatsikwa, we also are not talking just about the female goddess or the female energy of death. She also represents the energy of dreams. Okay? Um, Now, most of the people are asking me, have you done research on where exactly does she come from? The research that I gotten all the way up to is to the Olmecs. The Olmecs, which was one of the first races of civilization that we know that existed in the Americas, especially in the part of Mexico. Those are the giant head statues that people are seeing, uncovering. Well, if you read upon the Olmecs, there are an African, South African tribe, and a lot of other people claim that they are an Asian, from Asia tribe. I personally think it has to do with a little bit of racism there towards the Hispanic against the African Americans, because in our culture, growing up, most of our older people, older generations, did not want to have anything to do with the African American. And still to this day, in a lot of Latin American countries, the African or the black skin is discriminated against. So yeah, going back, the Olmecs, which are in South African tribe, actually they have to do with the Zulus also in the Bantus, brought a lot of their tradition, a lot of their cultures to the Americas. And I'm not talking about doing slavery. I'm not talking about when the Europeans, they were in the Americas way before the Europeans, the Africans were the Olmecs. Okay, they were there way before, which they were the ones that built the first civilizations in the Americas. It wasn't the Aztec, it wasn't the Mayans. The Mayans and the Mayans themselves are descendants from the Aztecs, and of course, as we know, the Aztecs are descendants from the Native American Indians and the as well as the Mayans. But that's another story. You guys have to do research in order for you to understand that when you do the research about the four brothers, okay, and how when they got into Mexico, they saw the eagle that landed on the tree on top of the lake. So it's something that I'm gonna not many people talk about, but you have to do that research yourself, or else this video is gonna be long. So yeah. So nowadays you see Santa Muerte, which is in this shape, okay, but you also see the Mitsikatsikwa, which not many of us show. I'm one of those that respect those old traditions. And we don't show Mitikasikwa, but we can show this representation of her. Okay, I'm not saying that this way is good, that way is good. It's what you want to learn, what calls upon you. Because if you want to practice a traditional style like Mitikasikwa, we don't include anything that has to do with Christianity, okay? Anything that has to do with Catholic or Christian prayers, and that tradition is more of a pure tradition, okay? Which, it's good in its ways, okay? That tradition is mostly what the left hand passes follow, okay? Now this one right here, which is also a good tradition, because anything that has to do with lifting yourself and lifting your faith is good, because at the end of the day, faith is what makes things work, and I'll get to that. So this one right here is more of a mestizo, or what in other countries we'll call a Creole. Okay, this is a mestizo, because in Latin American we're not Creoles, we are mestizos. Sorry, my dogs are going out there. We are mestizos. Okay. So here is, when you see this is what you see most of the times in these videos. Okay, when they talk about La Niña, la Huesuda, La Blanca, La Santísima Muerte, and she has so many stories from, her being a nun, to all the way to what the white one was, and everything. Okay, now those are folklores, like in every religion, every practices, it gets mixed. For example, now that we see La Catrina, right? La Catrina, if you do your research on La Catrina, La Catrina was something that had to do with a drawing, and it had to do with politics. But now everybody is incorporating, well, not everybody, most people are incorporating La Catrina. You see that I don't have La Catrina in my thing because she is fiction, okay? Something that somebody else created that had nothing to do, but then people started bringing them into the altars and stuff, okay? Which I don't disrespect anybody for doing that. If that's your faith and that's your belief, hey, more power to you. If that works for you, more power to you, okay? Now, you will see Santa Muerte too, that you'll be like, okay, why does she have a lot of things that has to do with the orishas, or has to do with Santeria? Why does she have a lot of things that have to do with Palo, okay? And that is because of a tradition or a way of teaching and information of the books that had to do with Pantera, okay? Enriqueta Vargas' son, the one that got killed, okay. So Pantera, before he started practicing with Santa Muerte, okay, which this Santa Muerte here is not actually new. She's been around, since before the 20s, except that she has been more of a quote practice. You go back to those old muertistas, and you ask them to see the Santa Muerte, unless you're doing something that has to do with spiritual, they're not going to open that little room for you, because they're very jealous where there are things where they don't just show anybody, okay? But going back to General Pantera, Comandante Pantera, Pantera, before he started practicing with the Santa Muerte, he was an Endoki, okay? A Tata in the tradition of Palo Mayombe, Palo Monte, Palo Briumba, but let's call it Palo, okay? When he went into a spiritual consult, his Tata told him that he was son of death, okay? Son of the dead, son of the death, okay? Which in Palo, there is a certain name for that deity, okay? But this right here started to be a presentation or representation of what he thought that mother figure was, okay? And got more deeper into the culto a la Santa Muerte. He was actually the one that erected that 50-foot statue in Mexico. Okay, 50-foot statue is something that came. I don't know if it's, if I remember exactly how tall it is. Okay, but he was the one that erected that. Okay, he wrote a lot of books that had to do, which he mixed her practices, since he did not have any idea how exactly you practice with her. So he mixed his practice of Palo, African tradition, with the practice of La Santísima Muerte. Okay? Mitsikatikwa. It's something that you have to read his books in order for you to understand where all this comes from. Okay? So I said it already. Her tradition goes back all the way to South Africa. Okay? So she has South African influence in her that came all the way to the Americas, okay, to Mexico, through the Olmecs, through the Mayans, to the Aztecs, to nowadays to her. Okay? Now, when we talk the magical elements or the magical use, is something different. Okay? Now let's touch the topic of how do you do readings with her? How do you consult with her? Okay? My opinion, and this is my personal opinion, is whatever works for you and your readings will work with her. Because it's about establishing a relationship or having to be comfortable with the energies of death. Accepting that death will come to you one day. Okay? And you create a personal relationship with that energy, which represents Mitsika Kasikwa or la Santísima Muerte. So when you do readings, do they have to be Santa Muerte tarot cards? No, they could be any tarot cards. But that's a personal practice. It doesn't mean that you have every right to go out there and say, this is how you should read with a Santa Muerte, and this is how the Aztecs were reading way before we started doing this, and this is how the Olmecs read. No, the Olmecs, the Aztecs, the Mayans, they always read with bones. Okay? Some animal bones, some human bones, some crystals. I'm gonna make a later video about that. Okay, and that's another thing. If you want to read with shells with her, if that's how you learned and that's the way you're communicating with the future yourself. That means with your own death. You are communicating with yourself. So if that works for you, hey, that works for you. If you want to use shells, use shells. Okay. If you guys want to use ruins and a personal practice. Or if you're going to read for someone else, but make sure you say this is the way that you let that person, let them know clearly, this is the way I read and this is the way I do it. When it comes to teaching, you have to teach the right way. Tarot cards have nothing to do with Santa Muerte or Mitsikatsikwa. Okay? And the bone reading, we do incorporate some shells, but not shell readings like they do in Santeria. Okay? Coconuts have nothing to do with that, or what we call the chamalongos have nothing to do in her readings. And I'm talking about her traditional readings. Now, in the new age or new practices, if it's on a personal level, on a personal practice, there's nothing wrong with that, because it's about your spirituality, what works for you. Okay? Now, I touched the subject on the reading. Now, when we talk about the magical use, los labores espiritual, okay? Because some people, magic, for us Hispanics, magic is when you go abacalabra and you do a trick, okay? So we call it labor espiritual, okay? But we're gonna use the reference magic because we're, talking in English, okay? And the magical use of la Santísima Muerte, you need to have a deep understanding of what spiritual magic is. Okay? that at the end of the day, and I'm going to say this very clear so you understand, this is advanced knowledge. At the end of the day, the Santísima Muerte or Mitzicatzicua, it's not doing nothing for you. She does not do anything for you. The one that's doing the magic, the spiritual work, it is you. It is your own energies. It is your own frequencies that you are sending towards an objection or a person or healing or money. At the end of the way, she is there just as a witness. She is there as a mentor. She is there as a tool to help you believe that you can do it. Because when something happens, what do? You turn around and you say, I didn't do it. She did it. You blame her or you give her the credit for something that you did. And when you're doing evil or dark work, negative work, then you always need an excuse to justify yourself. Do we really need Santa Muerte to do magical elements? No. Do you really need any other things? No. If you learn how to train your mind, if you learn how to believe in yourself, you don't need anything. But since most of us do not understand that we ourselves are creators, we ourselves are manifestors, we ourselves have our part, a little bit, a part of God inside of you. You yourself have a part of the Creator within you. You are a creator. You yourself are a God. Okay? It is not her doing magic. It is you. It is your own energies. But most of us don't believe or do not have faith in ourselves and don't have that understanding that at the end of the day, she doesn't do shit for you when it comes to magic. Okay? Now, when you're asking her for something, once again, it's like a tool. You are praying to death, that death represents you. So at the end of the day, you are asking yourself. But like again, since you do not have the knowledge, most of you will not understand what I'm talking about. A lot of you, it will click right away. Or a lot of you, your knowledge is most advanced and you will understand exactly what I'm talking about But for those newcomers that don't understand the elements of magic, yet you will have no idea and you will disagree. But once you understand that, you will remember my words. Because I was once in your footsteps. And as you keep going towards your spiritual path, you're gonna understand a lot more. Okay? Now, that doesn't mean that we don't need to believe in her. No, she's a great tool. Just like every other god and goddesses out there, they're a great tool to help us raise our belief system and raise the faith in ourselves. Because your faith will move mountains, just like the Bible says. And just like the Bible says, when Jesus says, this and much more you shall do. This and much greater things you will do than I. Okay? Basically saying, if you believe in yourself, you will do this and greater things. Okay? It's something that as you walk in your spiritual path, you will understand. And some of you will spend a lot of money on ceremonies, a lot of money on gurus, teachers, to understand this. This is knowledge that I'm giving you guys out there for free. Okay? Now, any practice is respectable. We're going back into the magical elements. In my videos, I show a lot of magical things that could be done to attract, for money, for many other things, to destroy, to get away from, to remove enemies. Okay? But at the end of the day, that's just an example where now you have to put a little part of your magical touch to it. Okay? A lot of people will bring what they know in Wicca, okay, what they practice in Wicca, and then work with that energy. Remember, again, you're working with yourself. The death energy that you're working is within your own death energy. You know, paying tribute to her. She's just there as the witness. She's just there as a mentor, or there as a tool to make you or help you understand or have faith in you. At the end of the day, you will die. Okay, but a lot of people bring what they learn in Wicca and work with her. A lot of people bring what they learn in Luciferian and work with her. A lot of people bring what they what they learn in the African traditions and work with her. You know, so there's no right or wrong way to work the magical elements with her. Now, if you want to talk about traditional Aztec, then none of those ways that I told you has to do, except for some of the African, okay? But like let me see, most of the Wicca stuff, even though Wicca has some African elements in there too, most of those things will not go with that when I'm talking about her traditional way, okay? And yet, when we're talking about traditional Aztec, you know, the African part has nothing to do with that either. When we work with her certain plants, there are certain plants that you work with her, okay, that belong to her, for her spiritual bath. But once again, I'm explaining this in a way so you guys will understand. It's about your faith at the end of the day. Remember that it's about your faith. Okay? It's about your belief. That will help you. And without you exercising your mind, without you being emotional prepared and have a mindset, okay, meditation will help you a lot when you start doing the magical elements, working with her. One thing that is very important is that you have to see it. Like when you close your eyes and you imagine it, that's what I mean. You have to see it, imagine it, feel it. When you feel it, you are putting emotions in it. So you have to put your emotions in it like it already happened, like you already got it, like something already worked. So you have to put that emotion and then the belief in it. See it, imagine it, feel it, emotions, and the belief system that already happened. I want to touch to you a little bit of that, because a lot of people still don't understand the magical thing on it. And you know, a lot of you guys go to the store, girls go to the store, because you know a lot of great videos out there, a lot of great information. And the first thing you do is you go to the Botanica, you go to the Juju shop, you order her from Amazon, you get her, and you already start asking her for things. Okay? You first have to develop a personal relationship with her. And what I mean is exactly not with her, but with yourself. Because she represents you at the end of the day. You represent her at the end of the day. She is you and you are her. That's something that is very important, what I said, in order for you to understand how she works. She is you and you are her. So going back again, a lot of people buy her from Amazon, they bring it home and they already start asking her for things, petitioning her for things, asking her for dark things, without you having to have an understanding of yourself, which when you understand yourself, you will also have a relationship and understanding of her. She is you. She has always been you. And you're the one doing the good and the bad. Not her, but you. Well, this was a quick video. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to comment. Once again, the Facebook is called The Truthmonger. Tata Fumbe on Facebook. So I wish you all a blessed day.